All right, Shalom to the 12 tribes scattered abroad. It's your brother Kadar Malak coming back with another cold cut, quick precept. All right, cold precepts, man, cold cuts. Going into who are the Gentiles in the New Testament. All right, so I want to do a video breaking down who are the Gentiles in the New Testament. A lot of times in the Christian church, right, they teach us that everybody who is not of um, you wish descendants, if you're not from those you wish, you know, small hat guys, then you're a Gentile, right? You're a Gentile. You're not, a Jew. You're not an Israelite. That's what they would teach you. But also we know that that's a false thing. It's a false narrative being pushed, right? Because we know Amalek is not the real Jews, right? We know that first and foremost. No proof of that, right? And just say, hey, that's who we are, etc., etc. Right? So we're gonna break it down to the word of the Lord. Shalom to all Israel. Shalom to the elect. Shalom to the 12 tribes. Right, keeping the commandments and the faith. Let's share my screen real quick. We're gonna break it down. We're gonna break it down. We're gonna get into it. We're gonna break it down. We're gonna get into it. We're gonna explain it. So first, I want to get this right. At the end of the day, if you do not keep the commandments of Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, you're not gonna get to understand it. Plain and serious. You're not gonna get to understand. You're not gonna know what the precepts say. You're not gonna get the breakdowns. You're not gonna get the parables. If you do not keep the commandments, you will not understand the Bible. Okay, this is the book of Psalms, so the 111 verse 10. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. A good understanding have all they that do his commandments. His praise endure forever. So all they that do his commandments, all they that do his commandments, and they're gonna have a good understanding. Right? If you keep the commandments, you're not gonna be bugged out thinking the Lord's name is Mama Shai, or Yahweh or Yeshua. If you keep the commandments, you're gonna know the true name of the Most High. You're gonna know understanding the parables and understanding the prophecy all throughout the Bible. All throughout the Bible. All right. Um, let's get this real quick. So we have to understand that. Let's just get a quick cut, right? So let's get Isaiah 9. We're gonna go do a bunch of quick cuts, okay? Who are the Gentiles in the New Testament? Well, to know who the Gentiles are in the New Testament, you got to look and see who they are in the Old Testament, right? All throughout the Old Testament, God prophesies, through the Spirit, different things, right? So, first, I want to get this. So, like, I want to go to Matthew first, right? So, one thing they said was, during the time of Christ, they said, "Hey, man, is Christ going to be, among the Gentiles? He's going to be dispersed among the Gentiles. Is he going to be seen to the Gentiles, right?" Let's get that in John 7:35. This book of John, chapter 7 and verse 35. Then said the Jews among themselves, "Whither will he go?" Shock you. The Jews then said the Jews among themselves, "Whither will he go that we shall not find him? Will he go unto the dispersed among the Gentiles and teach the Gentiles?" Who is those that are dispersed among the Gentiles? Israelites. Israelites are dispersed among the Gentiles, right? And teach the Gentiles. So who is this Gentile? Now a Christian might use this, hold on, disperse among the Gentiles. It's different from the Gentile. Well, no, it essentially mean the same thing. I'm explaining that why. Right? Where did he go that was outside of Judea? Let's go to Isaiah 9 and 1. Where he went outside of Judea was Samaria, right? Galilee, Zebulun, and Naphtali. Right? Let's go to Isaiah chapter 9 and verse 1. So Isaiah 9 to verse 1. Nevertheless, the dimness shall not be such as was in her vexation, when at the first he lightly afflicted the land of Zebulun and the land of Naphtali, and afterward did more grievously afflict her by the way of the sea beyond Jordan and the Galilee of the nations. The people that walk in darkness have seen a great light. Who was the people? Naphtalites and Zebulunites have seen a great light. They that dwell in the land of the shadow of death, upon them have the light shine. So this is saying Christ is going to go to Northern Kingdom. He's going to teach Northern Kingdom. He's going to show them and be that light. All right. Let's go to Matthew 4:13. So look at Matthew chapter 4 and verse 13. Now, I'm going to start at 12. Now, when Yahushua heard that John was cast into prison, he departed into Galilee. Satan making me yawn, man. He departed into Galilee, and leaving Nazareth, he came and dwelt in Capernaum, which is upon the sea coast, in the borders of Zebulun and Naphtali. What was the place that he went outside Judea? Zebulun and Naphtali and Galilee. Right. So who can be the Gentiles dispersed among the Gentiles is Zebulun and Naphtali right here. If you have ears to hear. Now I'm gonna go to more clean cuts, more plain, more plain upon tables. But hey, essentially that's what happened. Who did he go to? Zebulun, Naphtali, Northern Kingdom. Samaritans, right? Samaria, Northern Kingdom. That it might be fulfilled, which was spoken by Isaiah the prophet, saying, the land of Zebulun and the land of Naphtali, by the way of the sea beyond Jordan, Galilee of the Gentiles. Who are the Gentiles? Zebulun and Naphtali. The people which sat in darkness saw a great light, and to them which sat in the region and shadow of death, light is sprung up. So, who are the Gentiles? Zebulun and Naphtali right here. These are those who was cast off from the Most High, that did not keep the commandments, that worship their God, or the Most High in an incorrect form. They worship him in Mount, I think it's, if I'm not mistaken, Gerizim. Right? They worship him at Mount Gerizim. Right? Put a damn temple on the mountain. But the Most High said, come down to Jerusalem, come down to Zion, Mount Zion. You build a temple on damn Mount Gerizim. Okay? So the Gentiles right here is Northern Kingdom, right? Now let's deal with what Yahushua said. First and foremost, our Lord and Savior, right? Said what? What did he tell the 12? Matthew 10 and 5. These 12 Yahushua sent forth and commanded them, saying, go not in the way of the Gentiles, and into any city of the Samaritans enter ye not, but go rather to the lost sheep of the house of Israel. Shalakia. So Christ told him, hey, don't go to the Gentiles. Don't go to the Samaritans. This is what he's teaching his apostles. Don't go to these nations. Don't go to the Israelites that's in the spirit, right, of their wicked idolatry and their forefathers that follow other gods. Don't go to those people. Go to the Gentiles, right? Now, let's go to Matthew 12. So Matthew 12, verse 17. Let me see. Let me start at 14. Then the Pharisees went out and held a council against him, how they might destroy him. But when Yahushua knew it, he withdrew himself from thence, and great multitudes followed him, and he healed them all, and charged them that they should not make him known, that it might be fulfilled which was spoken by Isaiah the prophet, saying, behold, my servant whom I have chosen, my beloved in whom my soul is well pleased. I will put my spirit upon him, and he shall show judgment to the Gentiles. Well, hold on now. Christ said, don't even talk to the Gentiles. Don't teach the Gentiles. Don't go into the way of the Gentiles. But now he's teaching and showing judgment to the Gentiles. So it's Christ. Is it a contradiction? This is not folly. The Jews are even here called the Gentiles. Okay? He shall not strive nor cry, nor shall any man hear his voice in the streets. Right? A bruised reed shall he not break, and smoking flax shall he not quench, till he send forth judgment unto mercy. And in his name shall the Gentiles trust. Who trusts in the name of Yahushua? Peter, all the 12, those were Jews, right? Those were all Jews. Who he was teaching to? The Jews, all throughout the whole time, primarily to the Jews. So who are the Gentiles here? Right? These are Jews. These are not talking about Hamites. This is not talking about Moab. It's not talking about a Allah-fearing Ishmaelite. This is not talking about a dirty, stinking, toe jam Elamite. This is not talking about a red, white, Edomite from Grecia, right? This is not what it's talking about, right? The Gentiles are the Israelites, right? Right. Now I want to get this definition, right? A lot of times, our people, they don't know these words, right? Let's get the etymology of the word ethnic. Okay, a lot of times people, what's your ethnicity? People don't know what ethnicity means. Okay, let's go to ethnic. This is the adjective for the word ethnic, right? Late 1500s, going to pagan, heathen, right? Right. So this is the ethnic. It says from the late Latin ethnicus, from the Greek ethnikos, of or for a nation national, right? By some writers, probably satirist. Now here's a definition: adopted to the genius or customs of a people, peculiar to a people. Your ethnicity is based on a couple of things, right? If you're adopted to the customs of a people, and you ethnically became a part of that nation. Greeks, they're not a nation you go back to verbatim, right? No, but say, oh, Ashkenaz. But avert is there is no nation that say there's a nation of Greeks. There's no nation. Okay, so they are what an ethnic group. Anybody can be a Greek. Anybody can be these different nations to a degree. These ethnic groups, these haplogroups, you can be ethnically a part of the Greek nation. You can ethnically be a part of the Hamitic nation. You can ethnically even be a Jew, right? That's what it's talking about in Esther 8 and 16, where all the people that became Jews, did they literally become Jews? Did they switch their tribe? No. They what? Adopted to the genius or customs of a people. They submitted, right? They followed the God of Israel, and they essentially became Jews in their religion, what they believe, in their works. But they're not literally Jews. They literally will not get a higher lot than a Northern Kingdom brother because Ruth believed God. No. Let's keep reading. From ethnos, band of people living together. You don't even have to be the same nation. You can live together, and you what? Ethnically are a part of that nation. Properly, people of one's own kind, right? Let's go to this. In modern use, member of an ethnic group. So you can ethnically become a lot of different things, but by blood, seed line, lineage, no, you cannot become a different nation. So Christ was here teaching the Jews, and then Matthew, in the Spirit, explained and put the precept that got fulfilled in Isaiah, man. Talking about the Gentiles, but he was dealing with the Jews. So that plainly explains how, right, how the Israelites are the Gentiles, right? Let's get Romans 9 and 24. I mean, this is an easy cut. This is an easy go-to, to the point. Because when you're a cat, when you're in those hot moments, you gotta have it on the fly. You gotta have it on the fly. You gotta be playing, you gotta be around it, because they're going to score. This is Romans 9 and 24. Even us whom he have called, not of the Jews only, not of the Jews only, the Pharisees, the Sadducees, the Zealots, all of the Jews, not of the Jews only, but also of the Gentiles. Now, Christians oppose the Bible, right? There, at the end of the day, right? They say, "Amen." Right? This is what it was talking about. How you didn't see this? Come on now, it's plain, and you kind of get the hell out of church, and you don't even question or read the next verse. Why is it? Who is the Gentiles right here? Because they can't be the Jews. We see that. Who could he be? Who could they be? As he saith also in OC, which is Hosea. I will call them my people, which were not my people, and her beloved, which was not beloved. And it shall come to pass that in the place where it was said unto them, ye are not my people, there shall they be called the children of the living God. Where is that? Hosea 1 and 10. So we go Hosea chapter 1 and verse 10. Yet the number of the children of Israel shall be as the sand of the sea, which cannot be measured nor numbered. And it shall come to pass that in the place where it was said unto them, ye are not my people, there shall be said unto them, ye are the sons of the living God. What is this talking about? This is a book written in Northern Kingdom, right? This is a book written to Northern Kingdom, going into Hordom, going into all the things of the land. Reading Uzziah, Otham, Ahaz, Hezekiah, kings of Judah, in the days of Jeroboam, the son of Joash, the king of Israel, right? Barry. This is all talking about Northern Kingdom. This is talking to Northern Kingdom right here. Then shall the children of Judah and the children of Israel be gathered together and appoint themselves one head. Hold on now. So it's going to say, he's saying that in that latter time, Northern Kingdom is going to be accepted again. You're going to be accepted as the Son of God again. You're going to be cast off and accepted. Why? Because it says in the next verse that then shall Judah, the children of Judah and Israel be gathered together. I mean, they had to be separated, and they will be separated. And now they're coming back. How were they separated? The Jews versus the Samaritans, right? It was an issue with the Jews and the Samaritans. Again, because of the things in the history of what happened. Be gathered together and appoint themselves one head, Yahushai, and they shall come up out of the land, for great shall be the day of Jezreel. So that's plain. Paul is saying, hey, not to the Jew only, but to the Gentiles. Then he quotes Hosea 1 and 10, which is talking about Northern Kingdom, and explains that that's also talking about the Gentiles. How can this be talking about an Edomite if this is written to Northern Kingdom, and then Paul breaks it out to damn Edomite? Edomites have nothing to do with Hosea. Edomites have no accounts with Hosea. Hosea never was going up to Esau, making them repent. This had nothing to do with the other nations. This was written to a certain people. So that Gentile in Romans 9 and 24 is going into Northern Kingdom, Gentile, Israelites, man. Okay, that's what it's going into. I now want to touch on, I do want to kind of touch on one more part of Northern Kingdom being Gentiles, right? Right. Let's look this up. Right, let's go to the book of John. So book of John, chapter 4, verse 1. When therefore the Lord knew how the Pharisees had heard that Yahushua made and baptized more disciples than John, though Yahushua himself baptized not, but his disciples, he left Judea and departed again into Galilee. And he must needs go through Samaria. Then cometh he to a city of Samaria, which is called Sychar, near to the parcel of ground that Jacob gave to his son Joseph. Now Jacob's well was there. Yahushua, therefore being weary with his journey, sat thus on the well, and it was about the 6th hour. Then cometh a woman of Samaria to draw water. Yahushua said unto her, give me to drink. So he's coming to sit down. It's a classic account. Now, let's go to verse 8. For his disciples were gone away into the city to buy meat. Then saith the woman of Samaria unto him, how is it thou, being a Jew, askest drink of me, which am a woman of Samaria? For the Jews have no dealings with the Samaritans. Why? Because some of the remnant of the northern kingdom of Israel that was there was not worshiping the Most High God correctly. They were not correctly keeping the commandments. They were not worshiping in Jerusalem. They was not sacrificing in Jerusalem. They was not going to the temple. So the Jews wasn't dealing with Samaritans. Man, they said, y'all off. You're not taking and reading the Torah and keeping the Torah. So the stigma to them back then was, hey, they was beefed out. Just like how the Jews was beefed out with the Greeks. We're going to touch on that. I just want to touch on Northern Kingdom first. Yahushua answered and said to her, if thou knewest the gift of God, and who it is that saith to thee, give me to drink, thou wouldst have asked of him, and he would have given thee living water. Right, talking about wisdom, not to understanding. The book of Sirach, chapter 5 and verse 3 on down, right, going into water, right, which is wisdom, draining and falling out of the sky, and bread of understanding, really paraphrase. Right, so the living water is the great, deep, great understanding in the spirit of God. The woman said unto him, sir, Thou hast nothing to draw with, and the well is deep. From whence then hast thou that living water? Right, being carnal. Hold on now, the well is deep. How you gonna get the living water? Come on, I'm confused. Art thou greater than our father Jacob? Hold on now. Who are the Samaritans? Are they? No, they're not Gentiles. Who is our father Jacob? Jacob go back to, or who goes back to Jacob? The 12 tribes of Israel, which gave us the well and drank thereof of himself and his children and his cattle. Yahweh answered and said unto her, whosoever drinketh of this water shall thirst again. But whosoever drinketh of the water that I shall give him shall never thirst. But the water that I shall give him shall be in a well of water springing up into everlasting life. Okay, so now he bring it up. Right now, let's go down to 20. Again, she said again, right? Verse 19, because somebody can say, hold on, our fathers. What about Esau? Esau was a son of Jacob. Right. Well, actually, no, he wasn't. Right. It had nothing to do with it. Had nothing to do with Esau. The woman said unto him, Sir, I perceive that thou art a prophet. Our fathers worship in this mountain. Who is our fathers? Who is the fathers of who? I mean, come on, brother. It's the Israelites. And ye say that in Jerusalem is the place where men ought to worship. What do you mean, ye say? That's what the Lord said. Right. So this is showing you the spirit of the Samaritans. They didn't want to worship in Mount Zion in Jerusalem. Yahweh said unto her, Woman, believe me, the hour cometh when ye shall neither in this mountain nor yet at Jerusalem worship the Father. All right, so there's gonna come a time where you're not gonna worship the Most High in this mountain nor at Jerusalem, right? Because you're gonna be kicked out, you're gonna be destroyed, etc. Now he gets on them. Ye worship, ye know not what. We know what we worship. The Jews knew what they were worshiping. The Samaritans did not know. They was trying to worship the Most High incorrectly. So they didn't know what was going on. You don't know what you're doing. You're at Mount Gerizim offering up whatever the hell when the Most High say offer up in Mount Gerizim. We know who we worship. The Jews know who they worship. For salvation is of the Jews. Salvation is given to the Jews. You get salvation through the Jews. Who teaches the word? Even today in the highways and byways. Judah teaches the word. The Jews teach the word, man. Benjamin, Levi, Judah, they teach and give the understanding and show you the way of salvation. That's what Yahweh tries to explain to her. You can get salvation through the Jews. This is how we're going to teach you what to do and how correctly to handle stuff. Okay? But the hour cometh and now is when the true worshipers shall worship the Father in spirit and in truth, which is today, for the Father seeketh such to worship. Okay? Now I'm not going to touch on this all the time. So with that being understood, Northern Kingdom, right, the Samaritans, right, they are Israelites. They are Israelites. It's emphatic, it's plain. That's the breakdown. All right? Now let's touch on these Greeks, right? Because a lot of times, right, our people read, let's get Galatians 3 and 28, which is actually a beautiful scripture if you're not twisting it in the spirit of, right, Jesus Christos, right, in the spirit of Gentilism, right? It's the book of Galatians chapter 3, verse 28. There is neither Jew nor Greek. Why is it saying Jew nor Greek? Let's start there. Why did it say Jew nor Edomite? There is neither Elamite nor Greek. There is neither Esau nor Ishmaelite. Why don't say that? Why is it specifically saying the two ethnic groups, Jews and Greeks? What's the purpose of this? Christians, you don't study. You don't go into the scriptures and really deeply break it down. You read what you want to read. You're trying to save the nations, so you see it how you see it. Why did he pick Jew nor Greek? Why? I've never seen Paul say, hey, to the Edomite. He don't say these names. He always say Jew or Greek or barbarian or Scythian. That's it. He don't say a damn Moabite to the Romans. He don't say this. Why is he saying Jew nor Greek? The Jews kept and followed the Torah throughout all history. That's the Jews. Nor the Greek, which are Israelites who abandoned their history to follow Jupiter, damn Neptune, Zeus, these wicked gods, Aphrodite, Diana, all these wicked, foolish, madness, false, polytheistic deities, right? Which aren't any deities, right? They are the Greeks. There is neither bond nor free. There is neither male nor female, for you are all one in Christ Yahushua. So the Greek, we got to really single in. Okay, who are the Greeks? Let's go to the book of Acts, chapter 6 and verse 1. It's the book of Acts, chapter 6 and verse 1. And in those days, when the numbers of the disciples was multiplied, there arose a murmuring of the Grecians against the Hebrews, because their widows were neglected in the daily ministration. Now I want to pull this up through the Blue Letter Bible. All right, let's go ahead and let's get into it. Or let's get to that word, right, in the Hebrew. It's like in the Greek, right? You got to go into the Greek, right? They spoke Greek at that time. Let's get John, it's like, yeah, not John, Acts 6 and 1. All right, who are the Grecians? All right, let's get, look at this. Look at this. Right? The Greek word there is Grecians, or Hellenistes, right? All these damn things that keep sharing. So, like, bear with me. I just want to get this real quick. Share this tab. Right, share this. Jesus. Share the tab. Let's go back. Right. Right. Trying to tear down the damn Greek. Right. This is Galatians. Right. It's like not Galatians. It's Acts 6 and 1. Right. With the Greek word for Grecians. Okay. Grecians, Hellenistes.
Strong's G 1675. Hellenistes. Hellenistes.
Okay, Hellenistes. What is a Hellenist? One who imitates the manners and customs or the worship of the Greeks and use the Greek tongue. So who is it? This is anybody who's acting like a Greek, but not just anybody. It's not talking about the East. I mean, the Indians didn't become Greeks. Ishmaelites didn't become Greeks. Hamites might have became Greeks. Now you had a Syrophoenician woman; she became a Greek. But you don't see no other nations becoming a Greek except the Jews primarily. Let's get right. Even the Strong's definition: a Hellenist or a Greek-speaking Jew, Grecian. Who are the Greeks Paul talking to in Romans 9? These Greeks, right? These Grecians, right? Acts 9:29, they spake not only in the name of Lord Yahushua and disputed against the Grecians, but they went about to slay him, right? Acts 11 and 20. And some of them were men of Cyprus and Cyrene, which, when they were come to Antioch, spake unto the Grecians. They were teaching the Israelites that was in the nations, man. So, let's go back to that. When you go back to Acts 6 and 1, these are Greek-speaking Israelites. When you go back to Galatians 3 and 28, that's talking about Greek-speaking Israelites. That's not talking about a big fat Alexander the Great, man. Right? Let's get second Maccabees 6 and 6. Right? We want to get second Maccabees 6 and 6 because they don't have the Apocrypha. Right? The Apocrypha was taken out by the Protestant church roughly around the 1800s. And they took out the Apocrypha. Let me pull that up. They took out the Apocrypha because they said that it cost too much. Let's prove that. Right. The Apocrypha was removed from the Protestant Bibles primarily due to the theological shifts during the Reformation. So they got bugged out. They fell into new dumb doctrines. And as Protestants aligned with the Jewish canon, which excluded them, and questioned their divine inspiration, conflicting doctrines like prayer for the dead. Hold on now. right? They don't know what Judas was talking about. And lack of New Testament citation, right? Which is folly. You have second Maccabee. First, you have second Ezra, the second chapter, talking about Yahweh Shai putting crowns on all the people. You have second Ezra, the seventh chapter, talking about Yahweh Shai coming within 400 years from Ezra's time. Right? You have Yahweh Shai destroying and killing the nations in second Ezra 13. Right? We have history in the Mosai speaking right through Ezra about Yahweh Shai, right, coming back in second Ezra 13, right, and the famines happening, and the pestilence happened, and everything that's written in John. So they don't know what the hell's going on. And of course, they wanted 66 books, double incompletion, right? Double incompletion. So they took these books out. You know, you can go into it. You know, I think I did a video on that, little willing, but they took it out. They took it out because they said, I don't believe this is inspired by God. Okay. So if you take out the Apocrypha, you're not going to understand what the hell's going on. You're not going to understand who the Jews are. It's like who the Greeks are. You're not going to understand a lot of things. Prophecy. I mean, a lot of things. Wisdom of Solomon, Sirach. I mean, Tobit. A lot of things is just missing. Because you think, anyways, man, let's second Maccabee 6 and 6. Right, let's start at 1. Now you have to understand that primarily in the New Testament, majority of the time, it's talking about Northern Kingdom. Primarily, it's like not Northern Kingdom, talking about Northern Kingdom and Gentile speaking, the Greek speaking Israelites. That's primarily what you see in the New Testament. In the Old Testament, when you see Gentiles, it's primarily mostly talking about the heathen and not Israelite Gentiles. And we can see that through the Spirit if you have the eye salve. Right, this second Maccabee 6 and 1. Not long after this, the king set an old man of Athens to compel the Jews to depart from the laws of their fathers and not to live after the laws of God, and to pollute also the temple in Jerusalem, and to call it the temple of Jupiter Olympius, and that in Gerizim of Jupiter, the defender of strangers. This is madness, as they did desire that dwelt in the place. The coming in of this mischief was sore and grievous to the people. So all hell was breaking loose, right? For the temple was filled with riot and reveling by the Gentiles, right, which are the heathen. This is the heathen here, who dallied with the harlots and had to do with the women within the circuit of the holy places, and besides that, brought in things that were not lawful. The altar also was filled with profane things, which the law forbiddeth. Neither was it lawful for a man to keep the Sabbath days. If it wasn't lawful for you to keep the Sabbath days, hey man, you couldn't keep nothing. I mean, they're walking on you. You better be working. They probably made y'all work 7 days on purpose, right? You work a damn Tuesday through Sunday. They want you to have your off day be Monday, man. You work a Monday through Saturday. I see you relaxing on the Sabbath day, all hell gonna break loose. It wasn't lawful for us to keep our commandments. Some of our brothers, they turned away from the Most High and became Greeks. They stopped keeping the commandments. They consented and followed Jupiter. They consented and followed the idols. That's why the Pharisees and the Jews did not like the Grecians. They left. They turned out. They was traitors. They sold out for Esau and cooned out. It did not help fight against Esau when he took our land during the time of Judas Maccabees, Simon Maccabees, Jonathan Maccabees, around 74 right BC on forward, or 174 BC on forward. Right, we got it back in 164, if I'm not mistaken. Right, BC, and now on forward we started the Hasmonean dynasty. If you wasn't helping or following that, hey man, I wouldn't have not liked you either. Why you worshiping the damn Jupiter? Your father was a Jew, but you started worshiping the damn Jupiter because Esau said so, man. So it'll be an issue. Or ancient feast, or to profess himself at all to be a Jew. You cannot call yourself a Jew. That was against their code of conduct. That was against their law. You would have got put to death, man. So the Greeks in the New Testament are not going to say, hey, we're Jew speaking We're Jews that are Gentiles. We're Jews that are Greeks because they couldn't say it. It wasn't in their spirit to say it. It wasn't in their quote unquote religion to say it. So that's why they called themselves the Greeks. Right? It's a very simple breakdown, very easy thing to understand. If you don't want to understand that, pray on it. Ask the Most High to open up your eyes. Lord willing, show me. But this is plain. This is plain, right? So, right, the Jews were those who kept the commandments all the way, kept the Torah all the way. The Greeks were those who switched and started following the Greek ethnic group and became Greeks. Right, the barbarians. These are Jews that's following the ways of the barbarians. Who's the barbarians? The Persians. You have plenty of different barbarians, but the Persians primarily were the barbarians. If you didn't worship Bel and the dragon, you were then barbarian, man. How you act, you eat, you talk, and what you do, you are ethnically a barbarian. Okay. Let's go to Ephesians, 2nd chapter. Right, we breaking down all these damn strongholds, man. All these strongholds by Shimeon Shot, right? Ephesians 2. Look at Ephesians chapter 2, and let's start at 10. For we are his workmanship, right? We are the proof of the Lord's work, created in Christ shall shine unto good works, which God have before ordained that we should walk in them. Wherefore remember that ye being in time past Gentiles in the flesh. How can you use Gentiles in the flesh? Christian gonna read this. You was a verbatim Gentile in your flesh, or you don't have no spiritual mind. What does it mean, the Gentiles in the flesh? You moved in your flesh. The Gentiles moved in their flesh, right? They damn figure out what's gonna go in their belly, when they're gonna get some sexual immorality going on, when they're gonna get some more money, when they're gonna spend their life in pleasure and foolishness and folly and revelry and idolatry and sexual immorality and a wicked divination into all these different things. They're not in the spirit. In time past, you was in the flesh. In time past, you was worshiping Jupiter. You were in the flesh, who are called uncircumcision by that which is called the circumcision. Who is the people that were circumcised in the Old Testament in the time of Christ, who pushed that were the Pharisees and the Sadducees and the Jews. So the Jews called them the uncircumcised Gentiles. That at that time ye were without Christ, being aliens from the commonwealth of Israel. You can't be alienated from something you weren't a part of. That's confusion. How did you get alienated? That's like me getting alienated from being an Edomite. But I never was an Edomite. I never was a part of the Edomites. I never even know what God they worship. I didn't know what language they speak. How the hell did I get excommunicated and alienated from a nation of people that I never was with? So these Gentiles have to be Israelites, because you can't get alienated from a group you're not in. From the commonwealth of Israel. They weren't in the commonwealth. They was into Gentilism, into all these different things. Wealth of Israel and strangers from the covenants of promise. You was counted as a stranger. If I seen a brother and he said, "Yeah, I worship Jupiter." We had a brother. I was getting some jumper cables today. You had a brother. He said, "Man, you ever heard of Horus?" I said, yeah, I kind of heard of him. He's an Egyptian guy. He said, "No, the Egyptian God, you did worship to them. They worship to him." He knew all about Horus, man. He went into it, the eye and Horus. He knew about Horus. He would be a stranger. You walking up to a damn Jew talking about, "Hey, you ever heard of Anubis?" Right, that's strange. That's strange doctrine, strange understanding. From the covenants of promise, having no hope, and without God in the world, without the Most High. They worship other gods. They didn't worship Yahweh. They didn't have hope. They were alienated from the commonwealth of Israel because they was a part of Israel, but then they switched and worshiped these other gods. Okay? All right? Plain, right? That should be plain. Right? That should be plain. What else I want to go into? Let's get 1 Corinthians 12, man. I miss endless precepts, endless precepts, right? The Gentiles, right? Mostly, not every single time, but mostly in the New Testament, are talking about the Israelites that were into idolatry and worship other gods. They were counted as a different people. They were counted as a different ethnic group. This is 1 Corinthians 12:1. Now concerning spiritual gifts, brethren, I would not have you ignorant. Ye know that ye were Gentiles. Again, Shalakia. How can I be something if I'm already a Gentile? I'm already a Gentile. I'm already Edomite. So he telling me I'm an Edomite. In past time, Kadar, you was an Edomite. It's confusion. I'm still an Edomite. Right? I didn't change nations. I didn't change. I'm still that same Gentile. So we know this can't be talking about literal heathen Gentiles because you can't change your nationality. This has to be talking about the Israelite Gentiles who were in a Gentile state of mind, who was in a Gentile way of living. They was Gentiles, but now they're accepted back in the ethnic group where they should have been as Jews, carried away unto these dumb idols, even as ye were led. So when you was worshiping those idols, when you was worshiping those idols, when I was in Christianity, when I was in Islam, when I was in damn Egyptology, right? Not saying I was in all these things, but when you were into these idolatrous things, you was a Gentile. Essentially, the only difference between you and the Edomite is blood, and that's literally nationality. That's it. Thinking about the so-called American, they're lawless just like all the other Americans. Yeah, black Americans are a different type of lawless. But they're all not keeping the commandments. They're all keeping July 4th. They're all keeping Christmas. They're all on the Gregorian calendar. They all love so-called white man. They all follow the religion of Esau. They all believe in democracy. They all vote. They all eat pork. They all don't wear fringes. They all break the Sabbath. They all shave their beard. They're all niggas and damn rednecks. So, it was no difference. There's no difference between them. They had the same spirit. That's what happens when you become a Gentile. Okay, when you become a Gentile. Or you become a Gentile, madness. When you become a Gentile, right, you essentially become one with Esau, damn near. Right? That's the same thing he said in First Maccabees, right? Right. Let us all be one people. Let's leave our gods. Now let's go to Isaiah 11. Let's look at Isaiah chapter 11, verse 10. And in that day there shall be a root of Jesse, which shall stand for ensign of the people. To it shall the Gentiles seek, and his rest shall be glorious. Who was the Gentiles? Who was the Gentiles that's going to look for the ensign of the people, which is Yahweh Shai, and they're going to seek him? Never. Right? It's not talking about the Edomites. It's not talking about the Edomites. It's not talking about none of the other nations. Right? It's talking about these people in 11. And it shall come to pass in that day that the Lord shall set his hand again the second time. The second time. The second time. The second time. What is the second time? When Yahushua is doing this, right, for us in these last days. That's the second time. The first time it happened to recover the remnant of his people, which shall be left. Who is his people? Israelites, Exodus 3 and 10. From Assyria, his people in Assyria, his people from Egypt, his people from Pathros, Cush, Elam, Shinar, Hamath, lands of the sea, islands of the sea. This is what it's talking about. And he shall set up an ensign for the nations and shall assemble the outcasts of Israel. If you was a Greek, if you was a Northern Kingdom brother during that time, You was an outcast of Israel, not an Edomite, not an Ishmaelite who wants to believe on baby Jesus, man. Right? So the outcasts of Israel is all the Israelites in a different lands, in a different areas, following their religion and their ways, and having their ethnic group state of mind. They are the Gentiles. Shall assemble the outcasts of Israel and gather together the dispersed of Judah from the four corners of the earth. Okay, so that's playing. Isaiah 11:11 is playing. Romans 9:24. All right, let's get Psalms. Psalms 106. Right. This is why the Most High departed from our people when they worship other gods and became Gentiles. This is Psalms 106. Psalms 106 and 34. They did not destroy the nations. What happened? What was the main thing the Most High was pissed at our people for when they got into the land? They did not kill all the Canaanites. They left a remnant of the Canaanites there. And guess what happened? They got destroyed. They waxed worse and worse for doing it. They even tell you that in Joshua. They even tell you that in Judges. It tells you that we kept the nations around us, and that's how we waxed worse. They did not destroy the nations concerning whom the Lord commanded them. They broke the law, but were mingled among the heathen and learned their works. What happens if you're a Greek? If you're an Israelite and you're hanging around the Greeks, you're going to start learning their works. You're going to get mingled. That's who. I mean, if you're mingled among the heathen, you are the damn heathen. You are the Gentiles. They had Dwayne out the Rock Johnson try to pull that. Yeah, hold on. What does it mean disperse among the Gentiles? And then it said the Gentiles. You can't be both. Yes, you can. If you're mingled among them, you're basically them. Right? But we're mingled among the heathen and learned their works and served their idols, which were a snare to them. Which was a snare to them. So this is the spirit that the Gentiles did. They got mingled among the heathen. They looked around and looked at what the Gentiles was doing. They thought this shit was cool, served their gods, started doing sexual immorality. And that's why I'm gonna do that video a little bit next. Going into the sexual sodomy and immorality and pedophilia and idolatry. Right? You had to become a damn temple prostitute and sacrifice yourself and commit sexual immorality with somebody once a year to worship Diana in Ashtoreth, man. Right? You was commanded to cheat on your damn wife, to damn commit adultery on your husband, become a sodomite for a night, and be wicked as hell, man. Yea, they sacrificed their sons and their daughters unto devils. Okay? So it goes into it, right? That was the Gentile state of mind. That's what they did. Right? Turned away from the Most High. They worshiped these different idols. They moved in this spirit, and the Most High was not happy nor pleased with that and cast them off. Okay? And cast them off. So, that's a quick breakdown. We get this last precept, man. Not trying to make this too long. Is there any more I could touch on the Gentiles in the New Testament? Any more? Should have covered it. Right. And I want to touch on this too. Right. It can't be saying that these are literally the heathen Gentiles, because they gotta explain these scriptures. It's the book of Isaiah, chapter 61:6. But ye shall be named the priests of the Lord. Men shall call you the ministers of our God. Ye shall eat the riches of the Gentiles, and in their glory shall ye boast of yourself. Right? We break this down as the actual Gentiles. But you nations, you gotta, how is this gonna fit in Christianity prophecy? So the Jews are gonna eat the riches of the Gentiles. That's called back to the fold to Jesus. They're gonna just rob them and eat the riches. If you're eating the riches of somebody, you're taking it. It's not yours. They're not submitting the riches. So what does that mean? What does it mean? They shall eat the riches. They got to destroy the Gentiles. Did not the Lord say, the Lord said the destroyer of the Gentiles is on his way. Who was that? He's a lion from the thicket. Right? It's the book of Jeremiah 4:7. The lion has come up from his thicket, and the destroyer of the Gentiles is on his way. He got it. I mean, y'all don't know what's going on. Christians don't know what's going on. He is gone forth from his place to make thy land desolate, and thy city shall be laid waste without an inhabitant. Let's look at this on a spiritual level. Who is the lion? Who is the lion, the destroyer of the Gentiles? Who was that talking about? Yahushua. Revelation 5:5. And I beheld, and lo, in the midst of the throne and of the four beasts, in the midst of the elders, stood a lamb. So I'm reading 6, like here. Revelation 5:5. And one of the elders said unto me, weep not, behold, the lion of the tribe of Judah, the root of David, had prevailed to open the book and to loose the 7 seals thereof. Right? So who is the lion of the tribe of Judah? Who is the root of David? Yahushua. He's the destroyer of the Gentiles that's coming, that's on his way, right through the Spirit. All right. So, Lord willing, that makes sense. The Lord willing, brothers and sisters, got the breakdown, right? It's playing upon tables. Like I said, the precepts say if you don't keep the commandments, you're not going to get understanding. I'm speaking hoopla, speaking a damn false doctrine. I'm speaking hatefulness. I'm speaking vengefulness, Slakia, vengefulness upon the nations and upon your Gentile Greek brothers. Okay, so that's plain. You know, Lord will I might do a part 2 on this, or going into some more. But that's plain. You know, that's plain. The Israelites, primarily in the New Testament, are talking about the Jews and northern kingdom Samaritans who were worshiping other gods and in a Gentile state of mind that did not follow Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai correctly and serve him in spirit and truth. That's what it's talking about. That's who the Gentiles are in the New Testament. But with that, I want to give a hearty shalom. Lo and Israel get the edification. Right, all praise to the Most High. Shalom to the elect. Shalom to the 12 tribes. Right.